All right, in today's video, I've done a lot of hidden spots, downtown Stuart, hidden spots. Come to our office, great parking spots there. I've taken you down to Jupiter. We're actually pretty close to Jupiter right now. We're actually in a little town called Hobe Sound. Hobe Sound is basically about 15 minutes south of Stuart, and it's about 7 even minutes north of Jupiter. So there's a big benefit to being here because you can be in either Stuart or Jupiter. In today's video, I'm gonna show you a couple of things. First, we're gonna take you down to the beach. I'm gonna show you the Hobe Sound beach, and there's some real benefits there. I did the hidden spots of the Hobe Sound National Wildlife Preserve in other videos. Then I'm gonna take you down to downtown Hobe Sound. You get a little feel for that. All the restaurants that are around there. I'm not going to get too in depth with the restaurants. You got Taste, you have Hobe Sound Social, you have Harry and the Natives, and there's a lot of little spots down here. Right over my shoulder, that's actually Jupiter Island, and that's Jupiter Island Country Club. So you got Tiger Woods lives out here, Greg Norman used to live out here, Celine Dion used to live out here. And then I'm going to take you actually down to Jonathan Dickinson State Park. I actually did a video about that, about Firefest. I did an actual video on Jonathan Dickinson State Park. Then I'm going to take you to the final spot. I'm going to take you down to Blowing Rocks, which is actually a little ways down here on my right to the south. Blowing Rocks, the wind is just right, the surf is just right. We're going to be able to catch some surf down there and see actually the surf going up, and there's a blowhole down there. I'm really excited about this video. Just as a side note, I do think this is a hidden spot. The census in 2020 had Hobe Sound at only about 13,500 people. So about figure 5 years, maybe you had 7,000 people here. So literally probably around 20,000 people live in Hobe Sound. You have all kinds of money coming in here, and out on Bridge Road, there are some incredible projects going in. I did Apogee, which is $750,000 to get in on that club. These numbers may sound big, but you can still find a little condo down here in Hobe Sound for $250,000. So this place won't break the budget. I'm excited to show you this video. Let's get into it. All right, so no trip to Hobe Sound is complete without at least coming down to see this turquoise water. The thing about this parking lot, which is a little different from a little further north, the Hobe Sound National Wildlife Preserve, is this parking lot is paved. So, not that it's a rocky road, you're not gonna need like four-wheel drive or anything up at that Hobe Sound National Wildlife Preserve, but it can get a little bit, maybe you don't want to get your car dusty and so forth, that you might have parking issues, especially during season down here. You can see you got a bathhouse over here, so that's another benefit of being at this beach. And you do have a manned lifeguard up here. You can see these gentlemen looking over my shoulder there. And the surf's up today. So you got a little bit of surf coming in here. So you surfers that are out there, this might be something that you want to come check out. What I love about this beach is you pretty much will see people here. You can see these people here and then there, but you can then walk all the way down this beach, and there's no public access as far as a parking lot is concerned, a little further down. Also here, you can walk up further north here. There's a few homes on the beach a little further north here, but it's so private. It just feels very, very private here. It's beautiful white sand, not coarse sand or anything. Get a little hot, might want to wear your flip-flops. But so the benefits here are you have a lifeguard here, you have a gazebo over here where you can do maybe it gets a little thundery out or something like that, so you can get under cover, and then you have the bathroom up here as well. So that's going to be the difference between here and the Hobe Sound National Wildlife Preserve that's a little further north. So there's actually a surfer out here catching a few waves. It's kind of rare that we get the surf up this time of year, but we're going to now take you down into town. And hey, P.S. and by the way, if you ever want to know more about these kind of secret spots, reach out to us. Again, I just spoke to that gentleman that saw my video on Apogee, and we were looking at some of the communities, Discoveryland and Calusa, talking the 1% of the 1% over in Discoveryland, Atlantic Fields. Those homes are going to be starting around at 14 million. Now here on the island, if you wanted to think about buying a house on the island, we've sold houses here on the island upwards of 3 million. You're going to be hard pressed to find anything on the island that's under 4 million at this point. So all you got to do is reach out to us. If you have a specific kind of price point that you feel comfortable in, we can work with you on a luxury property, or we can work with you on that $300,000 entry-level home as well. So let's take you into town and show you some of the little nuances of Hobe Sound that a lot of people don't know about. They might drive through and be like, it doesn't feel as like you're not gonna walk in downtown Hobe Sound. That's maybe off the area that I'm about to show you. You can walk, but it's only a couple of blocks. So if you want that downtown feel, go check out my video on Stuart so you can find that hidden spot. Because parking can be a little bit of a bear down there. Unless you go over to my office, you can park there. But let's take you over now into downtown Hobe Sound, where the people from Jupiter Island go to eat. And again, this is the Tiger Woods crowd, Celine Dion crowd, Greg Norman crowd, and the old money like Carnegie and Mellon. And those folks used to come in here to Hobe Sound. The restaurants have gotten a lot better over the years, and we're about to show you some of them. So let's go check it out. So I wanted to show you, this is coming off of the beach back into town, and you can see this beautiful canopy. These are actually banyan trees. So banyan trees are throughout Southeast Florida, and actually how they grow, they come out of the ground, but then you can see they cut them down actually, but vines come down and actually go into the ground, and that's how the tree grows out. They don't let it do as much of that here because it can start to compromise the road. And then you come up over the bridge here, you can walk up, you can see over here, there's a guardrail over here. So you see somebody biking right there. You can actually bike or walk so you can see the boat traffic going by and a beautiful view of Jupiter Island. But this canopy that's created by the banyan trees is absolutely beautiful. Now there's another video that I did in my hidden spots of Stuart that there's a similar canopy effect in Stuart. You can go down into Port Salerno, you actually can see where the manatees were and so forth, and you can get that canopy. You get some of the canopy opens up here, some from some of the hurricane, but this is really a beautiful view. There's all kinds of paintings and pictures that are done of this canopy of banyan trees. It's well worth the trip to come down here and then drive down Jupiter Island. I always call it my abundance drive. This is a spot in Hobe Sound that a few people know about, all right? This is actually Bridge Road coming off of US 1. You can see right here, this is the Taylor Beach House. So you can feel this right here, the thatched tiki hut, all right? Now the Catfish House is not here anymore. People used to talk about the Catfish House, you go eat, you know, for $17.99, all the catfish you wanted to eat, but that's not there anymore. So you have Bridge Road, which runs up and down here off of A1A over to US 1. Now, you do have Publix, Walgreens, 7-Eleven, you got a Taco Bell and that kind of stuff up there as well as a McDonald's. So you know you're on the map if you have a McDonald's. And if you run all the way out Bridge Road, that will take you to 95. So this town was the town that time forgot for quite a while. But since all of these new high-end golf course communities have been coming in here, it's brought a lot of interest and a lot of eyes on this area. It used to be actually the folks that built Jupiter Island that didn't want this to become like Palm Beach. They had this exit built off of 95 back in the 80s. It really wasn't developed. I used to drive up and down Bridge Road. I used to go, why is this not being developed? Well, because the people on Jupiter Island did not want Bridge Road to be developed. But a lot of that money has passed on. It's gone on to newer, younger money. And so these, you know, Michael Jordan has his private golf course up the road. It's called the Grove. And, you know, someday I'm going to get on the Grove, but that's a story for another day. Right along this little stretch here of Bridge Road between A1A and US 1, this is a place where you can walk. You can see there's walking paths here up and down the street. There's like the little beach house down here, and then there's a couple other little restaurants here. There's Ross up the way, and there's a couple little dive bars that are up the way here. So the advantages of being in Hobe Sound are twofold. Well, threefold. I'll say the beach is one of them, being like literally drive right down to turquoise water. Another is you're gonna be 15 minutes to Stuart, and you're gonna be 15 minutes to Jupiter. And then also you're gonna have the advantage of being right off of 95, so you could be to the airport within a half an hour. Hobe Sound is just a lot more of that small town feel. And you only have one street here, and it doesn't really have all the Kilwin's ice cream and as many restaurants on this street, but there's plenty that you can work with. And then of course you got Jupiter right down the way. I did want to mention Jonathan Dickinson State Park. So they do the Fire Fest there. I did a video on Fire Fest. So if you want to take the kiddos out there, teach them about, you know, how fire actually helps the ecosystem, you can go and rent a canoe. You can go out and see Trapper John, where he used to live out in the woods out there. No, not in the woods. He used to really live in the Everglades. And so I'm going to take you up here. I'm going to show you, well, actually, I'm going to take you up and down Bridge Road right here so you can get a little feel for this area. And then I'm going to take you down to Jonathan Dickinson State Park to the entrance real quick. And then I'm going to take you over to the island. So stay tuned. So you'll know that you are at Hobe Sound, right where Dixie and US 1 hit each other. You're gonna see these old two Ford and GMC trucks sitting here. And so this is where you're gonna know. So you're at Bridge Road and A1A right here. Okay, so we're gonna take you down Bridge Road in what I call It's hard to call it downtown Hobe Sound, but this is really downtown Hobe Sound because you do have sidewalks that you can walk on either side. Now, little cool things like you'll see right over here is you got the beach shop and the island beverage, right? And you got Amato's Pizza right there, and then these kind of cool shops that would have been there back in like the 30s. And then you have Edward Jones and these kind of things. Now, over here on the right, you got Bell's, and that's where that little dive bar is over there. I can't even remember what it is. And then you have a Winn-Dixie over there and some restaurants over here. Downtown, you got the Dunkin' Donuts, which is right down the street, and that's pretty much it. You can see how quickly that goes by. And right across from the street, that's Harry and the Natives right over there. Jonathan Dickinson State Park, where I mentioned you can rent a kayak, canoes. There's places where you can go glamping down there. I think it's like $5 for the day, and it all goes towards that park, which actually, that whole park actually goes over to the Intercoastal, so you can walk over there as well through kind of the scrub and be on the Intercoastal, and there'll be literally nobody around you there as well. All right, no trip to Southeast Florida, I don't even care if it's just East Stuart or Jupiter, is without coming over to Jonathan Dickinson State Park, sandwiched between Hobe Sound and Jupiter. So literally just right down the road. The first restaurant that you can get to in Jupiter is probably 7 minutes from downtown Hobe Sound. And I've mentioned this before, rent a kayak, go out and see Trapper John's old shack out there in the Everglades, grab your mountain bike, go camping, go hiking. That gentleman that I literally just talked to about Apogee is like, hey, what's to do around there as far as hiking? And that I was like, I got out the map. I said, you're literally like a 10-minute drive from Apogee. So also if you're over at Atlantic Fields, you're at Discoveryland, you're at Calusa, you're over on Jupiter Island, you're even at Lost Lake or any of these communities in downtown Hobe Sound. So Jonathan Dickinson State Park is wonderful, and you can literally walk across the street, kind of a quasi. You can see some of the trucks over here that's not really supposed to do it, but you can walk through some of these trails over to the Intercoastal, and you literally be on the Intercoastal, turquoise water, looking over at Jupiter Island, probably with nobody around you. So I'm gonna take you a little bit further south, get onto the island, then go over to the island on the south side and show you a little area past the spot where I showed you that you could actually feel like you're walking out to the sandbar. I did that in other hidden spots. And I'm gonna take you to a spot called Blowing Rocks. And they call it Blowing Rocks. It'll probably be going up today because the surf is coming in, and the surf goes in and it blows the water up in the air. So hopefully we can show that to you. So let's take you over to Blowing Rocks. All right, here I am at Blowing Rocks, and we might have hit this on the absolute perfect day. Now, depending on the time of year, the Blowing Rocks is up when you have winds coming out of the east and a high tide. We're actually pretty close to high tide, a lot of wind and a lot of surf. But even if the Blowing Rocks were not up, check out this. This is just a beautiful little walk. I've done this before. You got this thatch roof hut here, and it's just very quiet. So this is actually on the south part of Jupiter Island. And this is still in Martin County here. Once you actually get a little bit further south, when the condos start going up over 4 stories, you'll know you're in Palm Beach County. Now, when you're in Palm Beach County, everything changes. I've sold multiple multi-million-dollar condos on the beach down here. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely can help you out with that. Can always help you find a condo in Jupiter. Gonna be tough, under probably $350,000, but we can make that happen. That all aside, you can see walking through here, you can see hear the birds chirping in the background. I can already hear the surf up out here. And one of the things you'll notice as you walk through Blowing Rocks here is you got like the habit of the maritime hammock. So it'll tell you kind of like all different critters that are in here, different kinds of flora and fauna that are in here. I mean, I just love Florida. I've loved Florida ever since I've been down here. Of course, I love it for the golf. I love it for the surf. I love it for the weather. I love it for no property taxes. No property taxes, no income tax. We do have property tax. Actually, DeSantis is thinking about doing something with property tax, but that's a story for another day. So even if you wanted to come for the day and you don't have to have the surf up, you don't have to have the waves up, if you come down here, you're going to get another real private feel. But a little further down is that hidden spot where you feel like you can walk out to the sandbar. Can you hear the ocean? It's getting exciting. I've actually never caught it on a day where it really blew the surf up like 50 feet in the air. So we'll see if this is the day. But either way, you can always come down to Blowing Rocks for a nice little afternoon, bring some drinks, bring your umbrella, your beach towel, and we'll see if the Blowing Rocks are up. Hi. You can see there's hardly anybody out here. Whoa! Here comes a good one. We gonna get it for you? Boom! Amazing. Oh man, I just got my shoes completely drenched. So this isn't really a spot, this is more of a beach walk, and it's not gonna really be a spot where you're gonna wanna go swimming. As you can see, the rocks are here, and it would be a little scary to go out to here. But if the surf is not up, so you could probably go out and the tide is gonna be out further, you could walk out there and go swimming. So it depends on the time of year, and it depends on, you know, how much wind is coming out of the east and what the tide is at, and all the real factors have to be together. So you could always watch the surf report, and you could watch the tide forecast, and you're gonna be able to catch this when it's really up like it is today. I just happened to catch it on the perfect day for you all. All right, so that concludes our video today of the hidden spot, or the hidden little town of Hobe Sound. What an absolute gem. And if you like this content, hey, just please press like below. I'd really appreciate it. And to give you a little bonus, we're gonna give you a little bit of drone footage. So enjoy a little bit of that drone footage, the aerial views of our beautiful, beautiful Southeast Treasure Coast area here in the Hobe Sound area. And feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to chat with you about what's important to you about potentially moving to the Southeast Florida and or the Treasure Coast area. We'll see you on the next video.